Imagine a world where you can no longer buy new smartphones, cars, or toasters because of a shortage of tiny silicon-based computer chips. It may sound like a dystopian future, but this is the reality we face today. Welcome to the chip wars, the battle for technological dominance between a select few key global players led by the United States and China. Semiconductors, also known as microchips or chips for short, are the backbone of modern technology, powering everything from smartphones to supercomputers and cars. At the center of global chip manufacturing are two companies, TSMC and ASML Holdings. TSMC is a Taiwanese company that produces over half of the world's contract semiconductors. ASML is a Dutch company that produces 2/3 of the world's lithography machines, an essential part of the semiconductor manufacturing process. China is working to become self-sufficient in semiconductor production as part of the Made in China 2025 vision. The US, however, is set on delaying this process in an effort to maintain technological, economic, and military supremacy. The US has gone as far as banning the sale of US-made chips and chip manufacturing equipment to China to protect their intellectual property, following long-term arguments around the protection of US intellectual property. As tensions between the US and China continue to rise, the future of the chip industry is at risk. Will we see a world where countries fight over computer chips instead of oil? Join us as we explore the high stakes of the chip wars and the potential consequences on the world as we know it. But before we get into it, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. We will cover some important and controversial topics on this channel, and your support will really help us with the algorithm. Right then, let's get into it. Semiconductors are the foundation of modern technology. They are essential components in computers, smartphones, and other electrical devices we use daily. Semiconductors are also vital to national security, powering military hardware, missile guidance systems, and critical infrastructure. If the 20th century was powered by oil, the 21st century is run on semiconductors. Microchips are in almost every electronic device, and their demand is growing. Global sales for semiconductors reached over $580 billion in 2022, with a year-on-year growth rate of 4.4%. Smartphones and data centers are expected to drive future growth as these devices support technologies, including augmented reality and artificial intelligence. Controlling the semiconductor industry has significant benefits for the future of a nation's economy beyond the obvious financial incentives. Firstly, countries that control the production of semiconductors have a considerable advantage in military capabilities. And secondly, advances in microchips may also power breakthroughs in other areas of technology through improved computing power and the ability to make devices that are smaller and require less energy. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, is the largest contract semiconductor manufacturer in the world, controlling around 55% of the global market. Comparing this dominance to the worldwide leader in oil, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, with its 40% market share in oil production, shows how powerful this company is. TSMC chips are critical components in many of the electronic devices produced across the globe, including all the chips in Apple's iPhones, iPads, and Macs. TSMC, as its name suggests, is based in Taiwan, which has become a geopolitical flashpoint due to the Chinese claim over the island and its strategic location in the South China Sea. A significant disruption in TSMC's production could have severe consequences for the global chip supply chain and economic consequences for the USA's economy compared to the pandemic lockdowns. So why has there been a shortage of chips in recent times that has caused this issue to rise to prominence? As a vital component in modern technology, any disruptions in their supply from any of the world's major chip manufacturers could cascade effects on various industries. The pandemic impacted the production and transportation of semiconductors, leading to a supply shortage in various industries exacerbated by the growing demand for semiconductors. The chip shortage noticeably affected the automotive industry, with many car manufacturers reducing their production output due to a lack of semiconductor chips. This led to an increase in the prices of new and used cars and a slowdown in the overall industry. The consumer electronics industry has also been affected, with shortages of chips causing delays in the production of popular products such as gaming consoles and smartphones. The launch of Sony's PlayStation 5 in November 2020, for example, experienced a highly strained supply due to a lack of semiconductors. The high demand for the new console, matched with the small supply, led to queues at stores at stock delivery times and many games machines selling above retail price on the second-hand market. So why has this conflict between the US and China arisen? With semiconductors as critical as they are to the current and future shape of technology, the current geopolitical situation is tense, with the US and China vying to control the semiconductor market. The two global superpowers are locked in bitter trade disputes over the control and production of these vital components. The potential impact of this conflict on the global economy cannot be overstated. Clearly, the chip industry's future is inextricably linked to geopolitical tensions and cooperation, making it a crucial issue for the world markets. The US government has expressed concerns about China's increasing influence over Taiwan and the escalating tension in the region, which is highly related to their respective ambitions in the semiconductor industry and its impact on national security. With Taiwanese companies controlling the semiconductors market and their importance in future military and technological power, the chip war can potentially escalate into a full-blown conflict between the US and China. The competition for technological dominance has already led to points of contention between the two countries, with both sides imposing trade restrictions and tariffs on each other's products. In October, President Biden's administration announced new rules to cut off China from specific chips made worldwide with US equipment. TSMC responded that it would abide by these laws. On top of this, the US government has expressed concerns over China's theft of intellectual property and forced technology transfers, which it sees as a threat to its national security. China's growing technological sophistication has significant implications for the global balance of power. However, disruptions in the supply chain, including the COVID-19 pandemic, have created a chip shortage and opened a new frontier in the technology race between the US and China. As tensions continue to rise, the microchip wars underscore the importance of these components and their role in shaping technology and global power dynamics. China has a long-term plan to become fully self-sufficient in semiconductor production domestically, moving away from its current reliance on imports to supply its roaring electronics sector. The Chinese government's Made in China 2025 strategy has committed billions of dollars to boost its domestic semiconductor industry. It has set ambitious targets for the next 5 years, significantly affecting the global economy. China's state investment to generate domestically produced microchips could help it gain technological supremacy in the years ahead. As the world's largest consumer of semiconductors, China's centralized vision to become self-sufficient in chip production poses a challenge to the US's dominance in the industry, and China's investments in emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and 5G have the potential to reshape the global technological landscape. While China is investing heavily in domestic chip production, the US has imposed restrictions on Chinese companies from accessing American-made chips. Ultimately, the US aren't happy with the threat of China overtaking their chip dominance in the future. Over recent years, the US government has implemented various measures to maintain its overall technological dominance and protect its national security interests. In 2020, the US government imposed restrictions on Huawei, preventing the Chinese tech giant from accessing US-made semiconductor technology. More recently, instituting a much broader ban, as I have already mentioned. The US has also been pushing for the development of domestic semiconductor production, not just Taiwan, with President Biden providing a huge monetary boost to chip manufacturing in the US through the CHIPS and Science Act in August 2022. The US government plans to invest billions in domestic semiconductor manufacturing and research through federally funded programs, a new Council of Advisors on Semiconductor R&D, and $52.7 billion in manufacturing incentives, R&D programs, and supply chain activities. The bill aims to boost domestic production and maintain its technological edge. The supply chain challenges have highlighted the importance of other countries in the chip industry. Other nations, such as Japan, Britain, and the Netherlands, are considering joining the US to restrict semiconductor manufacturing technology exports to China and enacting legislation to bolster their own domestic industry. Japan is a significant player in the sector, with companies such as Toshiba and Renesas Electronics producing advanced semiconductor chips. The UK also has important semiconductor companies, including the now Japanese-owned ARM processors based in England that make chips used in IBM, Intel, and AMD servers. The Netherlands is home to several chip manufacturers, including NXP Semiconductors and ASML Holdings. ASML produces 67% of the world's lithography machines, used to create semiconductors from silicon boards. These international companies are vital in maintaining a diverse pool of chip manufacturers to avoid future supply shocks, such as the ones seen from the over-reliance on TSMC chips. The chip war between the US and China has the potential to significantly impact global trade and economic growth. But Japan and the Netherlands are not staying on the sidelines. Reports suggest the two countries are also joining the US to restrict semiconductor manufacturing technology exports to China. A recent data breach at ASML has seen allegations of Chinese espionage as retaliation for the restrictions. The impact of the chip war on the global economy and geopolitical landscape is significant. The lengths to which the world's two superpowers are willing to go for control of the microchip market highlights the importance of semiconductors in modern technology and their critical role in shaping the global economy's future. However, the global chip industry is facing significant challenges, including the hangover of disruptions in the supply chain caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. As the chip war continues to unfold, it's difficult to predict what the future holds for the industry. One thing is for sure: the demand for semiconductors will only increase in the coming years, and there will be plenty of opportunities for technological breakthroughs and innovation. The chip-making industry, thankfully, is not limited to just the established players with new innovative startups, all eager to gain a piece of the international market. Startups and new entrants such as Graphcore in the United Kingdom and California-based Cerebras Systems are challenging traditional chip design and manufacturing approaches. Their innovative solutions could drive future growth and disrupt the industry's established players. Government policies will also play a significant role in shaping the future of the chip industry. Export controls and investment in research and development can majorly impact the industry's trajectory. Despite the tensions between the US and China, there is potential for cooperation and collaboration to resolve the chip war. Both countries have a shared interest in maintaining a stable and reliable chip supply chain, and there have been some signs of progress towards this goal. Both countries should look to a new framework of cooperation in the semiconductor industry to avoid a global conflict and ensure continued innovation and growth. If you enjoyed this exploration of the chip war, make sure you like, subscribe, and keep your eyes out for new videos as we continue to tackle the controversial issues affecting the modern world. And also, as you've made it this far, leave a comment telling us the most ridiculous item you own that contains a semiconductor.